Brazil overpower England. Endrick has arrived. The 17-year-old bagged his first international goal to seal a win in Dorival Junior's debut contest at the helm. The weight of expectation thrust upon 17-year-old Endrick, home and abroad, has been largely unfair for a player of his age. But for Brazil against England, he showed exactly why it might be warranted. The Real Madrid-bound forward blew open a grab contest and bagged the winning goal to hand the Selecao a 1-0 win at Wembley. Let's look at Brazil in possession. Brazil set up a 4-3-3, whereas England set up in a 4-2-3-1. Brazil looked to build up in a 4-3-3, and at times in open play, it became a back three with one of the fullbacks tucking in. When one of the fullbacks pushed up higher, the other would also tuck in, mostly the one on the right, to form a double pivot with Bruno Guimaraes because of England's high press. Over here you see that Ollie Watkins, he would press this center back, and Jude Bellingham right behind him, he would go and press this one. So this, here's how Brazil would form the overload with this center back, the right fullback, and Lucas Paqueta, who would, move in from here, tuck in so that they could form this triangle. Brazil would also use the goalkeeper as the third man, which would allow one of the fullbacks to remain a bit higher up when necessary, as Brazil were finding it a bit hard to bypass the passing progressions. And so, this was Gordon over here. He would keep an eye on this fullback as well as Lucas Paqueta. Gallagher, he would play up high, and this guy, Declan Rice, he would, just stay about right here so that he could control, Vinny Jr. tucking in, and Rodrigo, because there's a lot of speed up here with Rafinha, Rodrigo, and Vinny Jr. So if these guys tuck in and he's over here, Declan Rice would have to stop the counterattacks along with England's back line, and especially Kyle Walker over here, who would have to, sometimes. And one of the things was that Kyle Walker would also be over here helping out in the attack. So that's why, Declan Rice, he'd have to stay back for defending. So there has been a theory that England winning the World Cup in 1966 was the worst thing that could have happened to English football. And what set in English consciousness was that the functionality of Alf Ramsey's side was the only way to achieve success. Now, if England had played like Brazil back then, they would have ended up like Brazil, being knocked out of the World Cup group stage by more aggressive opponents. Fast forward to today, and you're up against a very technical Brazil with the physicality added to the armor, as most of these Brazilian guys now play in the Premier League and La Liga. And then enter Pep Guardiola in the Premier League, and you have English players not sitting back anymore and relying just on pragmatic play, but much more technical than fans dubbed this golden generation, and more so these guys pressing high up the pitch. So, back in the day, it used to be more of a 4-4-2 sort of a situation, where, England would, play like this. But now, because since Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and all these modern managers have come to England, you can see, a lot of press going on over here, pressing these guys, And so you have England, which is playing a high line, basically. And so here's how England would press. When Brazil were building out from the back with a back three, or one of the fullbacks, the right fullback tucking in to form this back three, and their left fullback a bit higher up the pitch, England would press in a 4-2-3-1. Ollie Watkins about here. Gordon, making those runs from here, trying to press this fullback, and yet keeping an eye on this midfielder over here. Right behind Ollie Watkins would be Jude Bellingham over here, in close range, so that once they win the ball back, or, if Gordon's pressing this guy, Jude Bellingham would stay here and cover the passing lane for the interior midfielder. We had Gallagher over about here, and so Declan Rice, he would cover this zone right here. And so because of England's high press, Brazil decided to rely on counter-attacking and make the most of the speed up front. And a chance came when Paqueta put a through ball to Vinicius Jr. and Kyle Walker had to make a speedy run to come and stop things. This is what England's build-up looked like. As the match continued, and as any team would start running out of steam, England's pressing waned and Brazil got more space to build up. So in the second phase of the build-up play, Rafinha would drop deep at times to provide linked-up overlays and keep the ball in rotation, but Rodrigo would also drop deep like a false nine to provide overloads. Vinicius Jr. would move around and Brazil would be very close together with Rafinha staying out wide. Paqueta got a good shot in a similar build-up progression. England's second phase build-up, but what was lacking was link-up in the final third, and that is mostly because the threat of Harry Kane and Bukayo Saka was missing. So Endrick did an amazing goal. An 8 out of 10 performance, came on, created chaos, and scored the winner. What a moment. As was expected looking at the match, it was a counterattack. The Brazil speed, like the first winning chance at the initial part of the game. This one also involved a long ball by Paqueta and a run by Vinny, with Endrick getting it in on the rebound. Endrick became the youngest to score at Wembley. So, if you look at Brazil's new coach, Dorival Junior, he handed 5 debuts in his first game as manager. A shaky start gave way to a promising showing. It's certainly not a bad way to get things going. And as for England, they lost at Wembley after 21 straight games.